Hey guys, Captain Ryan here. It is Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, and I'm in a different location today. It's actually, I'm taking the weekend off here. I don't fish on Memorial Day weekend for various reasons. So what I'm doing this weekend, I am looking back at last week, taking a lot of notes, seeing what I did, and documenting. It's all about having a good logbook, and that's what I've been doing. I'm up to date on that, and now I'm moving into the rigging crew stuff and Angler's Edge meeting, which we got this week. I'm super excited for that. That's on Thursday night at 6:30. And what we're doing is I'm going to go back through and look at some different spots that I fished for red groupers. So we're going to dive into that. So I'm super excited. So let's give I want to give you guys a little recap here of the fishing down here and what I did this past week. Not what anybody else did, what I did. And then I'll tell you guys I'll give you guys a little bit of dolphin fishing strategies. So and then I'm going to talk a little bit about tarpon fishing. So, yep, I said it, tarpon fishing. And yes, I do know how to tarpon fish. But I'll go through that here at the end here. So, okay, so what happened this week? We targeted what my clients like to target, bottom fish, okay? We targeted mutton snappers, and we targeted red groupers, we targeted black groupers, we targeted yellowtails, and we caught all of them. We filled the coolers. They were full, plumb full, and it was awesome fishing, okay? And one thing about it is that I had to do a lot of moving around, and it was not, it took some work, okay? And for me, what's the word for it is, the best way to describe it is, I hate to say it wasn't easy, but I guess you can say there's some days where the perfect just runs out, okay? There's some days when the perfect just runs out. Then what are you going to do after that? Okay? It's like, hey man, you're going to run out of that perfect. And then you're going to be like, now you got to turn it on. And that's what I had to do. And I didn't let it stop me. And we did amazing. The clients capitalized on short bite windows. So we didn't catch any of those fish on pinfish. And I had a live well full of pinfish and pilchards. Zilch. They wouldn't even touch them. We caught these fish in the middle of the day, bright sun, including the mangrove snappers. Okay? So, it was everything that you have heard about, hey, fish aren't supposed to bite. So, but they bit. So, it's fishing. That's it. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that word, it's just fishing. Well, it's just fishing. So clients were wore out and called it, and we went back and cleaned fish. Some of the clients took their own fish home with them, which is awesome. It's great to see clients taking their own fish home with them. They load them up, they bring the coolers, they take them back home, and they clean them, and they just take all the different parts of them and make meals out of them, which is awesome. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. Very smart. Very smart. So what else did we do? Oh, let's dig into the dolphin fishing, okay? Dolphin fishing. What I seen was interesting, very interesting. So on Tuesday, we had a good hard easterly wind, okay? And what happened was that pushed a lot of fish in fairly close. Now, a lot of 20-inch fish, just barely over the limit fish were in right on the reef. Okay, and this was on the middle of the day. Guys were catching them in 300 feet of water. A lot of them. Okay, you go a little bit further out, and the trick is where are you going to be? Where are you going to be and what time? It's not like you can just run out there. And some days it's great, flat calm. You go out there, you got a good migration of fish pushing through, and you just have a great day. Well, the next day you go out there, and it's not happening. So where are you going to be? In the upper keys, you're going to are they either going to be north or are they going to be south? So there's just been crazy years like that, and a lot of the times the fish are going to be right outside the Islamorada hump in 750 there. You look at the satfish, you see where the SST charts, and you see where that Gulfstream's moving in at, okay? And you want to find that edge. Now, they're not necessarily going to be in that really hard current either, okay? So these bigger fish, would you want to be in that really hard current? Absolutely not, unless you're cruising, okay? Now, also, too, you keep in touch with what's happening down in Marathon, because you got to remember those fish are hauling ass. and they're really skinny right now. And yeah, there's a few big fish being caught, but that always happens this time of year. So as far as the consistency goes of really big fish, it used to be an average of 15 to 20 pounds was a like, you know, considered a you know, mid-quality fish. Now that's a good quality fish. It's funny how times have changed. It's just like a flagged yellowtail. People call a flagged yellowtail a 14-inch fish, and really it's an 18-inch fish, 16 to 18-inch. So flags have gotten shorter over the years. So which is it's just human nature. What else we got? So that's the thing too. Is like when you're going out there, they're also going to get lockjaw. So pilchards are the best way, I feel, to get them to eat, as far as when you roll up on them and they're not eating. So, but cigar minnows, I feel, are the absolute best, okay, to get them piled up. Pinfish, I don't know, they work, but they're not my favorite when I'm going to go dolphin fishing, okay? So, yeah, they're easy to get, super easy to get. And sometimes just people want to keep going on until they hear something that's going to be easy, okay? They just keep going, well, I can't get pilchards. Will pinfish work? Will pinfish work? Will pinfish work? I can't believe how many times I've heard that. So guys are just going to give you the answer because they want that's what they want you to. They know that that's what the answer that you want. So they just give you an answer. That's it. So just be very cautious about that. I have to tell you what, if I would have went out there with just pinfish and pilchards this past week, I would have got my butt kicked, and it would have been embarrassing. Okay, so you have to have another good piece of dead bait, whether that be red meat or white meat. I've talked about that before with different amino acid profiles. Okay, it's how fish eat. These snappers right now, they don't like to move around. Very subtle bites. It's just how it works. So anyhow, back to dolphin fishing. Okay, I know that's on everybody's mind. And everybody, it's the easiest thing to do out there is go get them like that. Just take off in your boat. You go out and look for birds. You're looking for other boats. You're looking for weed lines. You're doing all that other stuff. You're looking for debris. So when you get out there and they're not eating, that's one thing. So there's one thing that I really like to do is I like to use little poppers to get them fired up. Leading into this one little bait here from Gulfstream Lures. In full transparency, I am sponsored by Gulfstream Lures, but I've been using these little glass minnows. They're called flash minnows for several years. It's a tried and true bait for everything. They've been around for several years, and when you go out there and the schoolies aren't eating and you catch one, you open it up, it's just full of glass minnows and little file fish. This thing gets them fired up. It's really about that little bit of flash on there, that profile. We have a link in the show notes for these, but these are my favorite here, the little flash switch. Also, too, for you guys that like to troll, which I like to troll because I feel we do sort through the bigger fish on schools. So the bigger fish will eat the ballyhoo when you plow through them. So I just restocked on on my favorite witches here. So I'm going to go through these with you. So these are my preference are the 1/4 ounce blue and fluorescent white. And I have to say that when you're going out during the middle of the day, you better have these on a slicker day, okay? Because there's going to be days where they're just going to focus in on this color. And honestly, I probably will get a bunch of these from Gulfstream, and then I make up another 50 to 60 of them. And there's just days when you go through all of them. Short baits, cut baits. I mean, they cut you short, but I like to rig these over dink ballyhoo or cigar minnows. Just a great bait, or one of my special rig squids. I have a special rig squid that I use that's way more durable than anything that's out there on the market today, and that's what I teach in the Good Karma rigging crew, which is we're going on our year anniversary with Good Karma Rigging Crew 2.0. So our anniversary was yesterday. Super excited. I started now it's 2.0. I started the original rigging crew in 2020, and it's just been amazing. We had paused it for a little bit to do some restructuring, and I was super busy with charter fishing and some other aspects of my business. So I just want to give a shout out to those guys. And in this month, I'm going to show them some special sea witches. And this is one of my special ties, and this one's been destroyed. I'm getting ready to tie up a whole bunch of these tomorrow for the summer. But what this is a crystal color, and I use a UV black from the tackle room. The tackle room has my favorite hair for wahoos and dolphins. Like I said, the UV does pop a little bit more in the water, especially this UV black. It's a special black. And then I have my favorite is that the old orange head, orangish red. And I get those heads from the tackle room as well as the blue mylar. So this one gets destroyed, and it's like, and what I do is I special tie it so it doesn't fall apart like most of the witches do. Unlike Gulfstream, so what I have to say about Gulfstream, before I decided to take on the sponsorship with Gulfstream, I'm very, like, what's the word for it? I just don't take on sponsorships. I have to make sure that they work before I do anything with a company. So one thing about these is that when I first thing I do is I dissect the cut, meaning that I cut this band off, and I have to say they do an amazing job with the ties, because it's hard to even cut through with a razor blade. So then I take some competitors' witches and I dice and slice, and I'm like, those things won't last. And they do that on purpose so you buy more lures. So Melinda and I own Jimmy Jigs USA. It was great when people would take these fish and like they would take the vertical jigs and they go out and they lose a bunch of them. It's like, it's more for us and more money. That's how it worked. So, we got cut off by a kingfish. Oh, we love kingfish season. But that's how the lure business works. But I'm very excited about making up some more. What I do is I'll make up my own dolphin rigs and tie them up. Some of the rigs I'll use 40 pound, 60 pound. I do like the LP line for heavier line. It's really soft, nice stuff. And then this is my other favorite one. I like to use this one early in the morning. They like to get keyed in on that. It's a little bit of contrast. Believe it or not, pink is not my favorite color for dolphin fishing. So, but I really do. If you look at the Zoom Witch head, it's very good. Got that little bit of flash in it. That little bit of detail makes a whole lot of difference. Now this is my on those cloudy days, I call this one the banana split. Everybody has their own name for it, but this one just pops, and this is the one you want to have out. Then I also make a couple other ones. I make some crystal, chartreuse, and I also dye my own tips on lures now, especially crystals. And so it's just for me, it's about the stress relief and stuff. So, and it's something that I teach, and I'm going to be teaching next month a couple of these in the rigging crew. So anyway, so I've got the Gulfstream lures in my in the show notes there. Permit fishing is still really good on the wrecks. One thing about permit fishing I just want to tell you guys is that when you go to the wrecks, you're going to have, and a lot of guys don't talk about this, is that you're going to have divers. You're going to have big boats tied up to the balls, anchor balls out there. And especially go down in Marathon, you got the Thunderbolt wreck. There's not many there, but they go right to the dive balls. You've got divers there. You've got all this stuff going on. It is not that easy. So what you have to, one thing I want to stress is that when you go to those wrecks is you have to time the time of day that you go and when you go. If you calculate when the dive boats are leaving, they all are running on separate schedules. So you're like, if they're done for the day, and sometimes if you even call the dive codes and see if they're going out, hey, I'm not going out, so you know that there's not going to be dive boats going out at this time, then you know you've got a good shot at the permit coming back up there, okay? Because there's a lot of that goes into it. You're just not going to float over it and catch and stay tight all day. It's not how it works. So, and also too, you just don't go out there with a bare hook, because the permit like to get down in the water column, and so too and they mix in with the APs, especially on the Spiegel Grove. So which, the Spiegel Grove, I'll tell you a story about that one another down the line here. But like on the Dwayne wreck, major permit wreck, awesome yellowtail fishing. And in the bib wreck, more big yellowtails and big groupers. But out there, it's a madhouse with people. So you really got to look and see where these permit are setting up. You use heavy jig heads, okay? So to get those things down, and we have those at the shop. So you just got to be ready for that hard current and where they station up at. So I'm going to start wrapping it up here today. I want to talk about the 3 tiers. So, before I do that, tarpon fishing. So I do a lot. Like, it's funny is that, oh, you don't do any tarpon fishing. Well, I do. It's like, just because I don't do it doesn't mean I don't know how to do it. A lot of you guys don't know I used to run in the backcountry for I don't know, 2 to 3 years. I had one of the first shallow cats down here in the Florida Keys, a beautiful catamaran, and people were like, "Oh, that's a weird boat. We don't really want to ride on that boat." But now, since other people are starting using them, oh, I want a shallow cat. So I was one of the very first ones to have one. And man, we blasted back there, and we went tarpon fishing. And the East Cape Canal was a beautiful place to go tarpon fishing. Some of the biggest tarpon I've ever seen in my whole entire life are in that canal, along with some of the world's most fiercest crocodiles. So I had JJ and Chris from Dapper Marine the other day, and they've been trying to catch a tarpon for a long time. So I'm cleaning at the dock, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we had dolphin bellies. They weren't working, guy, like this and that." And I go, "Okay, I'm gonna show you this one little trick, and you're gonna hook up in 20 seconds. And it's like, "What do you mean?" So I showed them that little trick, and they, boom, caught a tarpon. They've been trying to catch a tarpon for how many years now? And they were just ecstatic. And I never saw anybody so happy just to catch a fish. I was like, this is just amazing to see the pure joy in these guys' face. And I didn't really, after you're out there all the time and people are like, you see all types of people, but just to see the pure joy in these kids' face, and they're not kids, they're grown men. Hell, he's running one of the best marinas, or best detail marine business in the Keys, and he's probably the busiest. And so they're not kids. But they're just, it's like, but they're fishermen. It's like they're just, and I showed them how to do that, and I was like, he said, the guy, "Chris, you really know what you're doing." I was like, but I just do it, okay? And I heard that a lot this week. So, so it's just interesting. So I do know how to tarpon fish. I just don't do it. I have a business based on what my clients really like to do, okay? And I have a lot of people that love to mutton, snapper, and grouper fish. So that's what we do. They're interested in doing that. The last thing I want to take them to do is go do something that they don't want to do, okay? And when somebody calls me to go dolphin fishing, I'm going to be honest with them about how far we have to travel, what your risk is, and that's it. If we don't get them, we don't get them. And 9 times out of 10 was, "Thank you for being honest with me, because such and such wasn't honest with me, and we stopped and we used the electric reel," which my clients don't really like to use the electric reel much. I bring an electric reel and they're like, "Oh man, are you really going to do that? We did that with such and such, and we had, like, it wasn't fun. The captain had more fun than we did." So I get that. I like to use the electric reel when I go fishing by myself, or if I have a client that likes to just chill and do that. So, but most of the time they don't. So I don't even bring one. And it doesn't help you with sharks. It's actually worse, actually. Something I'll share with you guys later on what I did this week. Very interesting. So that's where I'm at. It's like queen snapper fishing. I do, like, if you guys go back and look and see the sheer amount of queen snappers that I used to catch, and I just don't go anymore. It just, the clients, it's like there's a high risk involved with when you're running out there with the way the weather is right now, and different stuff that's happened. So I'm very honest about when I go and when to go as well. So I just tell people, hey, this is when it's best. It's not best to go right now. And your best fishing for queen snappers is at the Marathon Hump right now, okay? And some other places that are down close Marathon. Yes, I know where they're at. I know I don't go. So, as well as barrelfish. So I do know how to catch barrelfish, all that stuff. I do know how to catch golden tiles and all that stuff. So I run a charter boat fishing program, and we are fishing for what my clients like to do. And then when they ask for different species, I lay it out to them, and they're very appreciative of that. So it's not that I'm being like, what's the word for it? I would love to go, but in all things, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about you. Okay. I don't need to go out there and catch this and this and that, and then come back to the dock and rack them up. I don't really believe in doing that. I really want my clients just to have a good time and enjoy the time and learn, okay, and learn how to do different things. And that's one thing that I really love about my clients, is that they're very, very, very curious. And I can tell if somebody's there to be malicious or not now, but I can also tell the difference in somebody that's really wants to learn about the why. Okay? And I had a client this week. He owns a major medical facility in Georgia, and super intelligent guy, amazing. And one thing he said that he's really trying to do now is that since he started following myself and fishing with me over the course of the years, is that he's incorporating teaching people that work for him the why, which makes him understand things a little bit better. And a lot of people feel like they're getting disciplined when they're explaining the why, but if you explain the why to somebody, then it just opens up their brain. Okay, it makes your job as a manager so much better. So I think that's the issue with human resources nowadays, is that there's no you should not be doing this, but you're like, well, why? And they don't even have an answer for you. All they want to do is So okay, so I think that's it. You got a really good yellowtail bite going on. We had everything spawning along the reef. Sometimes you got a lot of crap fish in there. Hashtag shitfish life, I call it. You got to battle through that stuff, and that's what I'm going through. And then you got a lot of hot weather coming up, which is great. So this weekend lesson in the yellowtail and crushing yellowtail in group, we're going to talk some about that stuff, about hot weather, and I'm going to teach them something that some of them are going to grasp. It's the concept of everything that I teach is what I do. Okay, and it's just me talking to you, and you're either going to want to hear it, and then later down the line it's going to sink in, but it may not sink in right away until you run out of perfect. When you run out of perfect, that's what most guys are calling me, because a lot of guys are running out of perfect really quick. They're beginning to learn that, or they're I don't want to just always go catch yellowtails all the time. I want to advance. But it's going to take me how many years, and the wrecks in Upper Keys are getting destroyed. And fish are moving around a lot. It's just the nature of the business, I guess, the nature of the new world. So I'm teaching those guys how to be more mindful about fishing, and it's not just about catching either. So it all starts from how you get up in the morning and what your plan is. So, and then how you're going to handle yourself in a situation that's not going to be not so great. It's going to be not so great, and that's when you kind of run out of all that perfect. So before I wrap it up today, I do want to talk about the 3 tiers that I have. So I have the Patreon group. I have the free tier, which is the best of awesome stuff. So I've got some really good blogs in there. I do believe in blogs because I really want to get stuff written down for people. I do feel there's a lot of word salad out there and a lot of how-to videos, so I just get to the point. I don't like to go through a how-to video, and I really just want to write it down and just give you a step-by-step, okay? So, and I don't like to show a lot because I'm it may not work for your boat, so it works for me. So, and then we've got the second level, and that is the Good Karma Rigging Crew. I put out a monthly video, and we just went through a different chumball video that we just did. We had a Q&A about it. Sometimes I put out 2 videos a month. It just depends on how much time I have, because I do fish for a living. I just don't create content. And then number 3 is the Good Karma Angler's Edge. Good Karma Sport Fishing Angler's Edge, and that is a spot finding community. No, we're not going to dig into buying fancy equipment for finding and mapping the bottom. I do feel that's a waste of money, big waste of money, because the way I see that the fish and how the fish are moving, that's not going to help you. It's not. It's not going to help you how these fish are moving now and what they're doing. Mapping the bottom is not going to help you. I know that because I mapped the bottom, and it does not work. All it is a fun tool. Seymour's great. So is Navionics. They each have their own thing, and then there's other mapping softwares that are coming out. Don't waste your money. If you want to, that's fine. You can create your own little fancy maps. There's something else that you should be finding that does not show up on any of that stuff. Okay? Just gonna tell it like it is. Well, some people are not gonna want to hear it, and some people get it because they're doing the same thing. Because I'm not the only one. Not the only one. Okay. Then I've got the Good Karma Fishing Club, which is the ultimate. So you get to come in. I'm open book in that club. So that is a highly screened club now, and if you want to be part of it, you have to email me and go through a screening process for that. That's all I got today, guys. Yeah, enjoy the view behind me. Get out there and hang out with your families today. I'm going to be making lures, watching a little TV because I like to watch TV. That's all I got, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.